All right, guys, at the shop, get you an update on things. We'll cover a lot with 2.0 in this video. Bring you up to speed with some of the stuff I talked about, the race down in Florida that we're working on. I'll give you a little details of some of my thoughts on that. I mean, nothing's confirmed. We don't have dates locked up or anything. Well, I kind of do have dates locked up, but we still got some negotiation with tracks and stuff to make sure it's all going to work out. And then give you Tom talk on some of the stuff at the end of the video, and talk to you a little bit about the magazine. I know some of you guys have been wore out on the magazine, but also today I do have a special guest in the house. She's in and from, is it Car and Driver, Road and Track? I forget. Car and Driver. Car and Driver. So it's the one with the person. It's not just the road. So,
right, it's not just the road.
But at least they're owned by the same company, right?
Same company.
Okay. So therefore, when I say it wrong, it's not like I'm calling out some other company. So we got Elana in the house.
Hi.
So what brings you to Michigan?
I just came to see you, Tom.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah, I wanted to see how you were doing on repairing my car here. You know.
Yep. Oh,
maybe
you're ready.
A little crispy.
So you're ready to upgrade your license, and you haven't even sent in your paperwork for your license yet, have you?
Yeah, I mean, I figure I'll just I don't want to waste time with the lower level stuff. I'll just go straight to the top.
Gotcha. There you go. So Elana said she's going to pilot this car in February. So at the race,
Yeah.
we've got what? We also had race week go on last week. Congratulations to Alex Taylor on doing the overall win there. Tom and Royce had some issues, took them out of competition, but all in all, everything I heard, great event. Obviously, Luke was down there. We also had Philip down there doing stuff for the magazine. So there you go. Let's get right to it, guys. All right, guys. Status of 2.0. We do have it pretty well together, fabrication-wise and everything. Just finishing some random body work on it. We do have some stuff that I'll show you here, but it goes to wiring Monday. So once it goes to wiring, hopefully we'll have this body work when it goes to wiring. But I mean, these rocker panels are all new. This is way sturdier than we used to be. This door got reskinned. Obviously this is a new front end. There's old Crispy up there. But we didn't replace the quarters. If I would have realized that the whole Bob thing was happening, where Bob was going to be here a lot more, helping with things, and that I wasn't going to make it to drag week, then I probably would have got another body, because it really needed to be rebodied. But based on time, and I thought that I was going to be ready for drag week, basically there wasn't time to do the body. So because we do have, I don't know if you can see that, this is from the heat here, and what happens is the heat gets in there and you feel the back, and the carbon's actually still good, but what it is the resin in between basically burns out of in between the layers, which you could see carbon here. This was a fix actually from, I spun it around a couple years ago. We fixed this just like this because basically I spun it around on a Friday. I had to be at drag week on Sunday, so we did a real quick fix with that in the wheelie bars, and then the wrap covered all of this. So but on this side, Bob was working on this, and there was a big bubble here where it had separated, so took that out. And I mean, obviously in a perfect world you're not doing body work on here, but same thing, you got this here, and I don't know how much we're going to mess with this because the wrap will end up covering that. This door really should have been reskinned up above the body line. I mean, this is all good, but below, if you can see, you got that separation in there to where there's no resin in between the two layers. So it's kind of like that. I'm not sure how much we're going to get into that, but same thing. New rockers on this side. Front end's ready to go. What we do have is, I mean, grills in, headlights are in, everything goes to wiring. We are going to do some ducting in here with aluminum because basically Dave down at drag week, and they actually did some duct in the Corvette. We've never had a problem cooling. When we do get stuck in traffic, it does want to recirculate the air. I'll show you when we pull the front end off, but the radiator's on an angle, so it's almost, the air goes in and it's not forced through the radiator, it just goes up above. Now the fans pull it through and keep all that cooled, But Dave said he was able to cruise along and not even run the fans because there was the ducting that kept that air going through the radiator, so it worked real well with the cooling. So that is one thing we're going to add. I did change the steering column in this. Can I show you that? But we did redo this because I had power steering in here and redid it, took the power steering out because we changed everything around with voltage, and I now run excess power 14 volt, so I'm always charging at 16.5. The power steering could only handle 14.8 volts, so therefore I had this power steering just disabled, so it was kind of a useless thing that, I mean, a couple pounds, but while we had everything apart, went ahead and redid the steering column and pulled that out because I hadn't used it in a couple years since we went to that 14 volt system. But that's where we're at on the exterior. We're going to pull the front end off of this and then kind of go through some of the engine stuff and kind of show you the status on that before it goes to wiring here next week. So, all right, got the front end off, and I guess walk you through a lot of the stuff that was done. I guess the good thing is, for layman's terms, we have Elana here to ask questions about stuff that may seem out of order, because a lot of stuff just seems normal to me. But we still are waiting for some fittings that hopefully we should have soon. Aiden's redone all the lines in here, so we went from the old style, I don't even know what you would call them, like hand assemble line in the vise, to it's all the crimp lines now, all the Earl stuff. Supplied to us by Holly. So that's all done. Most things are together. Like I said, there's some fittings going on. We have made some changes to obviously new Delta Pag radiator with fan assembly, but this is added to help the front end slide in. That is that's a Bill Gilsbeck creation that was done on some of the cars that he did, that basically stole the idea because it makes it a lot easier for getting the front end on.
So this is basically just an assembly, like in the pits, so that it's like a pilot to get everything lined up.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah, because when the plates come on, like a lot of times, like, I mean, this is the part that's added, is this.
Sure.
And what it is there's the plates there that slide in, and normally we would have to be real close to this to get it to slide in, so you only have that much variation, to where now you can start sliding it here. So once you get it here, so you gain almost an inch a side, that as long as it's there, the bottom of the plate rides on that and then just pushes it in the lock. So
Yeah.
so you're able to basically get it on 6 inches ahead of time, slide it into place, and then lock it down.
Why didn't you think of that? That's brilliant.
Yeah. Nope, I dealt with it. I was the guy that usually would get it real close, and I'd lay on the ground underneath, and then I'd look at it, and then I'd line it up with my hand and then slide it in.
I've seen it happen.
But always been the thing there. We're making some changes to the fuel for the fact that camera went off. But like to the fuel, because we used to run big injectors, and these would be the race injectors. These would be the methanol rails. And then underneath would be the gas rails. So those were street injectors, 2 independent fuel systems. Well, now we changed it, which actually we changed it when we went to the SMX, was the change was made. And we went to running smaller OEM style injectors for reliability, and all 3 rails are needed to keep the fuel flowing with it. So we'd end up having to do a lot of change in drain fuel when we went from street to track. So we're incorporating, I mean, it's obviously going to be a rat's nest, but you got a valve on this. This is the street tank coming to the back. There's a valve back there by the firewall that right here that shuts off the pump gas. You got your fuel filter and everything, and then that comes up and that's incorporated into the fuel rail. So if we are running race, the mechanical pump is unhooked. Down there, we pull the pin out, which is usually hanging, but pull the pin out on there, shut this valve, and now we're on pump gas. And when we go to race gas, what we're setting up is that, also we added primer pump for the methanol, so that we're not ending up having a hard time priming the pump when we go to race to try and get the fuel in the fuel rails. So that gives us a little electric pump just for a primer, gets it started. until that pump primes up the mechanical pump. So when we go to race gas, we're introducing, which I'm assuming that's what that valve's going to be for, but coming off here with a drain that's going to allow us to shut that valve, open this drain, prime the electric pump, and basically drain out, close this valve that's the return into the race tank, which this is the methanol tank, close this valve, empty this out of all the pump gas, get methanol through the system, then close this valve, open this valve, and now we're on methanol, and it should fire up. So,
You gonna have a checklist for that?
no, I think you just learn it with valves, like,
You learn it by forgetting to do one
yeah,
of those
exactly.
things.
And you say, oh, well, wait, we just put pump gas in the methanol tanks, now we gotta drain all that. But that is one change that hopefully is gonna make it a little bit easier to change from methanol to gasoline and back again. So that's a change there, but other than that, under the hood, everything's pretty much the same. It's just, well, like I talked about before, we're going to, the EGTs are now going to be the Holley EGTs, so they're going to be tied in so that hopefully we can have safeties in place that if something like Gainesville were to happen again, that the computer catches it and shuts the engine off so that I can't be the pedal guy that says, oh, it's kind of all right, like I'll just pedal it. Now, that's the goal with that. But other than that, everything's kind of as is with it. We did do a stator change and stuff in the converter, which obviously you can't see that, but to basically make it more, I guess, it may slow down our times a little bit, but hopefully it makes it a little easier to get down marginal tracks. Obviously still running in the 5s, but I mean, it might not be the 570s or the 560s, 550s that we're hoping to get to with it. But when we're really on a good track with a lot of bite, then we can change the stator back to the other one that's the more aggressive stator. So, Elana, do you have any questions?
I mean, there's always questions, right? I mean, when you started the work on it after the fire, I mean, obviously you had stuff already in mind that you were thinking of for making it easier, both in a drivability way and then like in a street strip changeover way. Were there weren't any major changes that you were making to the setup though, right?
No.
Like internally or anything like that?
No, with it, like, and even some of these other changes were something that came about as we were starting to think things through more, but like initially, we were putting everything back exactly the way it was because everything was good at that point. So, but now, like when I talked about, which obviously this radiator, this is what I'm talking about, is like when we haven't had the cooling issues, but when the air comes in through the grill, its natural tendency is just to follow this ramp, not go through. So our fans would run all the time to pull the air through. We never had an overheating issue, unless, well, it never overheated, but it would get hotter sitting in traffic because you got that nose sticking out to here, and that air, it's like it just kept circulating. So you just had the hot air going through it to where, like I said, when I saw Schroeder's car and Calvin built ductwork that comes off the front end, to force everything through the grill and like almost a stop that makes everything go through the radiator. So we're doing that as well to hopefully, because Dave said they were able to run down the road without even running the fans because all the air is just forced through the radiator, and it's like it'd be dumb not to do it.
Yeah,
So,
air is really interesting because it doesn't do what you think it's gonna do. Like air is very stubborn. It like doesn't really want to like go. You're like, oh well, that's where it's supposed to go, and it's
Well,
like,
yeah, it's
no,
gonna-
I don't want to. I'm gonna just like do a little whirlpool instead, and not.
well,
pull
it's
your
always
plug
going to
out.
take the path of least resistance. So therefore,
Yeah, but sometimes that path is like
a circle.
A circle, like
Yep.
it just goes around.
But that's like I said, we did some, I covered this before, but we just went to some different shock sensors, mostly for hoping that they stand up a lot better than the other ones we were running because we would go through them and they're expensive. We did a little bit of changing in the valving and the struts, also in the shocks in the back, but
Was it you, Schroeder, or Lutz, who used to run the temperature stickers on your shocks and stuff? I remember it was a long time ago, back when I was at Hot Rod and we were at a drag week, and
somebody was running all those, you know, the stickers that'll change temp if like change color if a certain temperature is reached, and it was like they were figuring out how hot stuff was getting.
Huh, nope, wasn't me. So, I mean, I guess it makes sense. We use those like in coolers and stuff like that for the stuff we do for the alarms, but I guess I never thought about putting it on car parts to see if they ever changed. But so.
What about inside? Are you doing anything interior-wise that's different?
No, the only thing like I talked about earlier is I got rid of the power steering, so we did a new steering shaft and stuff, and the power steering was just mostly from the voltage standpoint. I mean, it could only handle 14.8 volts, and now we run down the road at 16.5 with 14 volt excess power batteries, which was one of the changes I covered in another video, but we're going to twin lithiums from our standard 14 volt, which is like those over there, lighter, and actually carries more amperage. So we're gonna see how that works out. Not that we ever had any issues with it, but it's like you're just trying to make everything a little bit better.
Now you can put your bump and stereo in.
So yeah, exactly. That'll be sweet. So yeah, one change that will happen that obviously isn't in there, that you know what I got to get ready this week, is that because this car will have radios. We ran the radios in Aiden's car, and like,
Rocky
man,
Mountain, yeah.
Yeah, that I mean, it's one of the biggest things that one of the dumbest things that I've never done is run the radios. And like, then when I ran them, I'm like, yeah, I've been an idiot for all these years, like just running down the road.
I mean, I could have told you that.
So, but that's where we got. That's what that is on 2.0. Got any questions about anything like that? Obviously, we can cover that in a future video. Like I said, it's going to go to wiring this next week. So next time you see it, it'll probably be wired. And hopefully at that point, real close to running, getting it started, getting it over to Steve's, get it on the dyno, and then the wrap or the paint, which, no, I have no idea on how we're going to wrap it. I know it's not going to be what it was before. I've thought about going back to the gray, the first scheme, but I've also thought about what else can I do with it. So you got any ideas? If somebody out there does some renderings of the car and you come up with something cool, might use it. I do have a buddy now that can do, that they're doing some products with wrap where they can actually make it 3D. So like truly it can feel like the snake skin. It can feel like wood grain. So toying with that, it does add some weight because that really is just printed material, but it is pretty cool. I was able to feel and touch some of the stuff, and even from the looks, the way the sun hits it, you can tell like, I mean, I guess you look at a snake, you can see the scales on there. Like, so don't know, toying with that stuff as well.
Wrap it in a pizza wrap.
Yeah, pizza wrap. So, but I am thinking no matter what I do on the roof is just going to be a big Sick the Mag logo. Will be cool for any overhead shots or whatever that's going to show that. So, which, speaking of which, I guess cover that with it. Sick the Mag, obviously they covered Rocky Mountain Race Week this last week. Luke's going to be busy editing this coming week with all of that. As far as the first issue is available until the end of the week. We have a lot of people want to get extra ones of the first issue. I can tell you that from a subscription basis, we're down to less than 100. So if you want the first issue, then there's less than 100.
You do want it. It's great.
Yeah. There's less than 100 spots for that. So the others, if you want any of the apparel, the cool Sick the Mag shirts, get over to the Bailey Racing website, get that stuff ordered. We do have hats coming in pretty soon. Everybody's been asking for hats. We've always had the problem with how do we ship hats, but we're working those details out. And hats should be available here in the next few weeks on that site as well. So that's what we got on 2.0. That's where we're at with the magazine stuff. And I guess we'll give you a little Tom talk and then get the hell out of here. So thanks, guys. All right. Yeah, see how I was getting screwed up with that, because I look at that and say, man, we're barely in the picture, but on the backside, like, it's completely right. So. All right, so I gave you the tall chair.
What do you want for Christmas?
So, yeah.
Tell Santa.
Yep. So I gave you the tall chair, but
I like it.
so you can look down on me like usual. But so the Florida race they're talking about, obviously.
Yeah, tell me all about this, because
Elana's here, so we'll make this like an interview type situation.
Yeah.
But
I want to know about the Florida race because I would like to do a race, but I don't have a ton of time.
Yeah, well, we got to get Tom to actually come to something.
Right?
That's her Tom.
My Tom. Yeah.
Which we'll give the plug. Her Tom, or what's your YouTube channel?
Challenge Her, and it's me and Tom doing slightly slower cars than this, but only a little bit.
Yeah, not much.
Yeah.
Not much slower.
Yeah, like 42 Ford GPW Jeep. I mean, it could take this.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
Especially for off-road. So.
Yeah, I mean, if there was a dirt hill.
Yep. See, I'd be stuck. Well, actually, just have a water-covered hill. I've proven many times that I can do 100 miles an hour and not move. So, but cover a little bit on the Florida race. Obviously, we posted that this week. Still working out the details on it, but there's been lots of questions, lots of interest. So that's awesome. But basically, trying to take the best of the drag and drive events, and for the people that have done it a lot, and try and take the best and get rid of some of the I don't know if you want to call it monotonous stuff or some of the stuff that gets old
like
quickly.
When you were telling me about it, that it's almost got like a college reunion feel to it. Like, you know, that some of the events are extremely hardcore competitive with like a fairly like people have a pretty tight focus on the competitive track aspect of it. Other ones maybe have like a bigger audience. You wanted something where people could enjoy getting to see each other at the ends of the drives, not maybe be quite as worn down. Is that?
No, absolutely. Like, yeah, I mean, it is hardcore drag racing. So at the end, this is where the fast of the fast, because I mean, just to put you in there is like, we are going, like somebody even said, you're making a no prep deal. No, this is a flypaper deal. The idea is that there's going to be a radial lane, there's going to be a big tire lane. There is, if we're not comfortable with what the track prep is on a normal basis, we're going to bring in somebody to prep that track, because the idea is that we're going to go to tracks where people can lay down their best numbers every single day, and hopefully at the end of the day, this is where records get set, this is where milestones get made, and this is where all comparisons have to lie, is that, hey, well, this stick shift car did this at, if it's going to be called Sick Week, we're not sure of the name yet, but like, but something along those lines, to where it's like, this is the number. So you go there and you do that, like this is the number that you're shooting for, and that was set during this. We're looking at making it an annual event that's going to be the same tracks, or real close to the same tracks, like every year, to kind of create, call it a winter type vacation. But the others take the long drives out of it. Like, get to a point to where, hey, we got drives that
you're still gonna have drives though, right? Like, it's still about streetcar and like testing. It's not gonna be like, you know, 40 mile like.
No, like yeah, not getting back, like not going down that road to where it's a 30-mile cruise and then you come back and race at the same track.
Because they already have that. It's called drag racing.
Yeah, exactly. But try and get to the point to where, hey, the drives are 170, 180. Like, the goal is that all the drives are less than 200 miles. So therefore, you're proving the streetability of a car, but you're not proving the durability of the driver. So, like, I guess would be the best way to put it.
Is this after, you know, spending, you know, whatever, 400 miles in the passenger seat with Aiden?
Yeah, exactly.
At like 117 degrees.
Well, the others that I feel that, at least with the cars that I run with, which would be the, let's say, the top type cars that have the most maintenance requirements, the most possible issues on the road, is that so many times we end up driving till 2, 3 in the morning. We get in at night. All we do is, like, if we do get in a little early, all we want to do is sleep, because we don't know that we're going to get to sleep the next day. Like, I mean, there's so many of those things that.
That's why you don't have any friends.
Exactly. And so that's it. This whole thing is about me being able to meet some friends, because I don't get to on a regular basis.
You'll finally get some Christmas cards.
Exactly. But like, but the idea is that, hey, we can have these drives that prove the streetability, but you can get to the hotel at a good time, so that you can hang out in the parking lot and talk to all your buddies and talk to the other people that are at the event, and you don't get to miss out on that aspect of it.
Yeah, the parking lot pizza and beer on the hood of a like 7-second car is a really special experience.
And it is, because like the times when I've got to do it, it's amazing. So, but so many times I haven't got to participate in that, and a lot of other people haven't. And I think that a lot of people that I would call them like the pioneers of the event, like the people that did it first before me and stuff, like they shy away from it. And I think it's because of those drives. I think that if you can get those drives down, then some of those people will come back to participate. And they had the fastest cars, but I think just the beat down of the grind of the 300 to 400 miles a day is just, that's stuck in the back of their head, that they're like, if we just did the racing part of it and we proved the street part of it, then
well, the nice thing about there being multiple events now is each event doesn't have to be exactly the same. So like, I think the grind and the, can you physically as a human being survive this is an amazing experience as well, but they don't all have to be that. So,
right.
there's definitely room for there to be something else. And if you're not as beat down on the road, you can focus more on laying down a killer number on the track, right? Like you're just gonna have more time to focus on that part.
No, exactly. And that's the part that like, that looking at with it is that, hey, all these events are selling out, all these events are popular. So like, I'm not saying that like, hey, the other events are wrong. No, they all sell out. I'm just trying to, from my experiences, like I'm trying to create an event that still proves everything, but also takes some of the best parts of it to incorporate that in. Like I think that when you're really looking at the competition side and you're looking at laying down great numbers, you want great tracks to lay those down. So so that's a prime focus of mine, is to make sure that, hey, every track we go to, like you're not going to say, oh, well, that track's going to be moderate, so I got to worry about that. The goal is to give a track every single day that you can lay down a record pass, like lay down your PR every single day, and there's nothing where you have to say, well, I just gotta, whatever, that track's just along the route and I gotta do it. And one other thing that, we'll see whether it comes to fruition or not, but the tossing around is that you also have call it a wild card ticket. So therefore, hey, you're turning in you gotta turn in a ticket a day, you gotta show your stuff, but you have to turn a 6th ticket in. So there's 6 tickets at the end of the week. So you basically, let's say day 1 you make 2 passes, you turn both those tickets in. Now your wild card ticket, which you're gonna have to, obviously you're gonna claim your slower ticket, but like you can replace that ticket on day 2, day 3, day 4 if you put in a better second run. But at the end of the week, your wild card is in there and that's part of your average. So it's actually a 6 ticket average over 5 days. Because I just think that like a lot of us do a one and done, and if we get a good run in, then we're off to the next track. To where from the fan side, as well as the competitor side, like don't make it a given that, hey, we're looking at these averages and saying, hey, well, here's what my average is, or here's what their average is, this is what it takes to catch them. If you got this other wild card, then it's almost like you have this unknown factor in there.
So is that wild card going to come in at the very end, so like your competitors don't know it, so that you can't be as confident in knowing that you're actually the leader? Like someone might have a secret better pass that they haven't thrown in yet?
One that, if they got away with it without anybody seeing it. So, but that's where a lot's going to have to be in your head too. That you're going to have to say, well, hey, what was their other pass today? And you're going to almost have to keep that in your head to think about it.
It's a lot of math, Tom. Someone else is going to do that, right? I don't have to do that.
Right, exactly. I hope so. But like, but I just think that brings a factor that, hey, now we go to the track and, hey, the track's on kill. We made a good run. Well, we're now thinking, do we pack up and leave, or do I go one more pass to fill in my wild card ticket? Well, then you start looking at it every day saying, well, wait, can I get a better wild card ticket today? Don't know, like Midwest is 2 passes a day, and I thought that was kind of cool, but then wanted to put my own spin on and think about it and say, well, maybe I don't want to make 2 passes every day, and sometimes it's hard, and when you have an off day or something like that, you still have to turn in that 2nd ticket. So that's where looking at it as being a replaceable ticket, and at the end your average is on those 6 times to get your overall average. I don't know, I just think it brings another, and they may make it in, they may not make it in.
See what people think of it.
Yeah, tell me your thoughts on
idea?
that
Is it a
6th
bad
ticket and
idea?
what I'm thinking about with that. but that's it. And I mean, the interest has been huge. Obviously, details to follow, but like, and then the checkpoints. Obviously, all the checkpoints are historic, but we cut that drive down and try and get the checkpoints maybe a little closer to the finish, or the finish of that day, so that you're not just thinking about, hey, I still got 100 miles to go, so I got to get there. So maybe those checkpoints are more an entertainment value. That like, obviously, like, I mean, we know that I'm talking. Well, I think most people know that I'm talking about the Florida area. So obviously, you got some great scenery down there.
Yeah,
like,
there's some interesting things in Florida. Some interesting car things. Some interesting drag racing car things.
Oh yeah, like yeah, there's definitely like I mean, as I posted, I posted that I got his number, but then I talked to him. But I talked to Don Garlitz for probably 30 minutes the other day, and that was pretty amazing.
Yeah,
so
he's
to
a
talk
cool
to
dude.
him, yep, super laid back dude, and I guess whatever I think about it, I was real nervous to make the call, but then after the call, it's like, well, I don't know, people sometimes, like, there's 2 or 3 people that've been nervous to talk to me, but like but I guess it's the same thing. But like at the end of the day, whatever, we're all just people. We all just maybe did different things or made different choices. But like obviously we got beaches down there. I mean, there's some cool stuff to do down there for the checkpoints to make it different. And like I said, trying to make it a annual thing that, like, hey, all the racing's serious. The drives are going to be much more moderate.
I mean, if we have a beach stop,
So-
are we going to see like all the drag racers in their bathing suits? Because I'm not sure it's a good idea, man.
I don't know, but yeah, maybe it's not because of E. coli that they closed the beach. It might be because of grease washing up on shore. So
Like everybody's going to be just like washing parts off, scrubbing them with sand.
oh yeah. Let's see the person that they saltwater bathe their block, and let's see how that works out. But
It'll get lighter.
so, but that's a little bit about the event in Florida. I just want to make sure to cover a little bit about that. Obviously, details to follow, and we'll get,
Very cool.
real in depth with that. But
Ooh, I have
so-
a plug. Can I plug something?
Oh yeah, go plug something.
So I got to ride along with Aiden when he was doing his licensing at Rocky Mountain Race Week earlier this year, and that story will be in the November issue of Car and Driver magazine. So I think it's probably the first time in quite a while that there's been a large drag racing story in Car and Driver. So buy it so that I can keep doing large drag racing stories in Car and Driver.
Now, when does the November issue come out? Is it already out? October?
It should be probably out in the next month or so, I would say. Yeah. So
Okay.
So no, for real, it makes a difference if you guys buy those magazines, or even just click on the web story when it's online, or send in emails.
So do they track the grease stains on the magazines on the rack at the store?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
Oh, this must have been our
touch all the magazines and get them greasy with your greasy
this
little
wasn't a
racer
Ferrari
hands.
owner. This is a true gearhead. that
Yeah, the
touched this
Ferrari
one,
owners
so.
just get, like, I don't know, croissant crumbs on them or
Yeah,
something.
exactly. Coffee stains, or Starbucks stains.
Yeah. Oh, can we go to Starbucks? I need more coffee.
Yeah. But so there you go. That gives you a little bit insight on there. Obviously, a lot of more details to follow with that. I hope in the next week or two to get a lot of stuff locked down on it. But with it being February and it only being essentially 4 months away, like, gotta have people starting to think about it. I can tell you it's real heavily geared towards starting February 6th. So that week, I know that's Super Bowl Sunday, but the people that come to these events, I think, don't give 2 shits to watch the Super Bowl if they can go to a car
I
race.
mean-
So
Who cares about sports if it doesn't have motor in front of it?
exactly. So that's what we're looking at, and thanks, guys. All right, folks. Tom Talk. I haven't done one of these in a while, obviously with COVID, with all the racing, with how those videos were, and just reminded me of some stuff like with watching Drag Week, Rocky Mountain Race Week, and stuff like that. And I mean, it really comes down to parachutes, and I mean, whether this is the Euro racer, novice racer, anything like that, or if you just want to know more information about it. When in doubt, throw it out. I mean, that's probably the biggest rule that I live by when it comes to that. And I preach it to Aiden, is like, hey, if anything seems weird, then just throw the chute. And it is such an important safety device And inertia with the car, you launch a car and the car takes off. Anytime you've seen any wreck or anything like that, you've never seen the car come back towards the starting line. It just doesn't happen because inertia is, obviously I'm horrible at that, but let's say whatever. An object in motion tends to stay in motion until a force acts upon it. I believe is the definition of it, but not sure. That's something I learned in elementary school, middle school, high school. I don't even know when I learned it, but the biggest thing about that though is like you can control the direction of the car with the parachute. If you throw the chute out, you know that the back end of the car is going to be to the back, no matter what. Well, I won't say no matter what. Obviously, there's situations where maybe that doesn't happen, but for the most part, when you watch the video of the Roadkill Nights, when I was going down the one time with 1.0, and it was wandering real hard towards the sidewall to where I knew I was getting close, and I also, because of getting close, I knew I was getting close to out of the groove. That's where, by habit, automatically my hand was up on the chute, and I almost threw the chute. It came around, and I didn't have to do anything, but I was ready that if the car got out of shape in any way, shape, or manner, I was throwing that chute, because that's going to take the back end of the car and put it exactly towards the back, which is the way it needs to go. Whatever else happens. Some of that can't be controlled, but the back end of the car should be towards the back. If you pull up and if I remember to do it, I'll put in the description a link to a video when I was driving Skinny Kids Cutlass down at we were at Ducks Race, and radio car, first time car was ever on radials. It hit second gear, spun the tire on the radio, screw blown car, and that's probably the most out of shape I ever was. And if you watch, I was all over the place, but I threw the chutes right away, and that helped straighten the car out to then bring the car to a stop. Now it was on two wheels, like there was all kinds of stuff that happened there, but without the chutes, more than likely at some point in time, the car would have been so far facing sideways, the traction, the tires would have caught, and it would have shot you towards the sidewall. Almost any time when you see anything like that happen, it is usually the car may spin, different things may happen, but sooner or later the tires get bite, and then they aim you to a different direction, which that direction's always going to be towards the wall, whether it's across the center line to the wall or it's directly to the wall. It's never going to send you back towards the starting line, and that's an inertia deal. So if you're a racer, you ever dream of being a racer or anything like that, just always remember that. And that's where, like in a lot of the top fuel cars, stuff like those chutes are automated now, because if anything happens, it throws the chute, because that is a safety device. I can tell you that, like, by experience with 1.0, 2.0s for the most part always going too fast, but I will try and not throw the chute sometimes going through the finish line, because I want to turn it around quicker, and it takes time to pack the chutes. You already have all your other in-between stuff. Usually I've always paid the price for that, because I've burned up the brakes, overheated it, wore stuff out, different stuff. Sometimes I've had to skid the tires. I end up flat spotting the tires. There's lots of stuff like that, and that's why I'm an advocate, like that. Even in the slower cars, a 10-second car, a chute can be helpful depending on the situation. I guess a good example would be Doug Cook's car, the Motion Raceworks car on Rocky Mountain Race Week. Going down the track, they kicked the crank out. I broke the crank, but put oil directly underneath the car. One of the first things you saw him do is throw the chute. Did he still hit the wall? He did, but he hit the wall with the car facing the right direction. So out of shape, you can't control a lot of things, but the back end of his car stayed towards the starting line. That's the key with that. Now, I know that maybe my Tom Talk today only applies to a certain group of people that are out there racing and have these cars, but I guess it's something, unuseful knowledge, useful knowledge, I don't know, coffee table talk, I don't know, something that you know that maybe your friends don't, and understand the reason for those chutes, and how important it is when you usually see a wreck that the chutes come out initially. Usually that wreck is going to be nowhere near as bad as a wreck where the chutes never came out. So just one of those lessons to learn, and useless knowledge. So maybe that'd be a good Jeopardy question. I don't know. But either way, guys, I appreciate you guys watching. Sorry for the delay in videos when I was sick, but getting back on it, get you update on 2.0. I know a lot of people are looking for a Haas update. That Haas update will be coming up soon with things. It just would have made this video too long to go into that as well. So maybe next week when 2.0 is gone to wiring, but that's what we got. Please subscribe to the channel. Hey, we're almost at 80,000. I think I only need another 100. So thanks guys. Catch you later.